Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this Ag Forecast video for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Let's kind of take some inventory of the forecast we've been giving over the last month or so by looking at the Standard Precipitation Index, which is shown to you over here on the left from the CHIRPS data set. So when you look at this, this is going to be the wetter side of things and the drier. And honestly, the models have done a pretty good job at picking up on this pattern, which favored wetter conditions north and east of that line, with greater risk of developing some drier spots down here to the south. Now, it's not as though it has not rained in this area, okay, but when we just look overall, this is where we favored some drier conditions. And we've seen, especially when we looked last week, that some of these areas are not looking so great in terms of their NDVI values. We're going to look at that again today. But there are pockets of things that are getting really dry down here, and while some of them are over some of the more productive regions in Rio Grande do Sul, the pockets that are drier in Paraná here don't exactly hit the main ag area. So I just wanted to point that out to you real quick. I want to go from here down to Argentina and take a look at what we've got there. So same idea, but now we're looking at Argentina plus parts of Uruguay and Paraguay. We noticed that over the last month, this area has seen near normal to wetter than normal conditions. It's only been over here in Buenos Aires or getting into Uruguay, that we've seen those drier conditions show up. And that's going to be important to think about, especially when I show you this next graphic and the forecast coming up. So what I've done is I've kind of zoomed in here on down here in the southern parts of Brazil and also Argentina. And we're going to look at this sliding window. It's going to go back and forth. Now, I understand that the labels you see here they're incorrect, okay? What we're going to look at in panel A is going to be 2021, and in panel B is 2020. So you're looking right now at 2020. And just a reminder, the closer you get to these bright yellow and white colors, the more healthy the crop looks from an NDVI perspective. Now what I'm going to do is slide over and show you the current year. All right. And what I noticed is that this year in Argentina, especially in through here, things are looking much better this year than they did a year ago. Where it looked better a year ago is here in Buenos Aires. So if you go to this year, watch Buenos Aires here, versus last year, it looked better last year than it does this year. And we saw that. That's where the drought had been. That's where it had been drier, Into this area, we've seen better precipitation. Now, we cannot use this metric north. There's too much cloud contamination here to use it. But if we get into southern Brazil, and again, compare this year, which is what you're looking at now, to last year, okay, we can see some differences in southern Brazil, Paraná, Rio Grande do Sul, and also in Mato Grosso do Sul. I would encourage you to go to the Worldview website and play around with this yourself. You can just search by adding layers to put in the NDVI. Just come up here and search for it. I'll just show you real quick. When you get up here, NDVI, and it'll show up. Take that first one right there from Modus. That's the one I've been using. Now, to think about where this pattern's going, I want to show you the graphic of our current ocean temperature anomalies. Of course, we've been talking almost nonstop about this La Nina, and the nose of the trade wind's about right to that point. But what I'm concerned about is this region here, and then getting right up against that part of South America. This is where we've seen a lot of cold water emerge, and where most of the cold water will be emerging soon. This is Nina region 1+2, getting over to Nina region 2 and 3, right in through here. Now, why this is important is because of this graphic. That Niño region 1+2 area, and again, that would be this region right in through here. We've seen that area steadily cool throughout October to November, and then into November took a major drop down to minus 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this is why this is important. For Argentina, if that region continues to cool, this is what we've learned. If you notice in my map down here, I'm going to look at a time series inside of that bounding box, which is Argentina's main growing areas, of total precipitation in December. Now, I'm doing this to try to find these years like 2011 or 2013, which were much drier than the average. And I plucked out the top 9 driest since 1950. And I'm going to put them here together. There they are, 9 driest Decembers. And what I'm going to look for is the composite sea surface temperature anomalies when that happens. You can see there's a lot of cold water into here, but it extends into this region. There's even cold water there and there. And also it hugs the coast. Now that looks almost like what we've got right now. So in addition to this analysis of ocean temperatures, let's go look at one other factor. It's the Antarctic oscillation. Since mid-October, it has stayed positive, and it's forecast to finish November and start December positive. This tells us the behavior of the westerlies around the southern hemisphere. And if that Antarctic oscillation stays positive, this is what we've learned from history. In December, the correlation with the AAO, when it is positive, we tend to be drier here and wetter there. Now watch the same analysis, but with ocean temperatures. When the Niño region 3.4 is warm, which it is not right now, it tends to be wet here. But see, it's cold right now. It's a La Nina, so this would signal drier. Now, why I bring all of this up is because throughout the month of December, which is what we've been trying to analyze here, this has been the forecast we've been getting from the European ensemble. It wants parts of southern Brazil, Uruguay, pockets of Paraguay, and most of Argentina's most productive growing areas to go over toward drier conditions. Now, we have yet to see this take shape, and we know right now that there are not problems in Argentina. Are we clear on that? There's not been major widespread problems up to this point. So until these start to show up, this is just a forecast, and we're building it off of two parameters, La Nina and the behavior of the jet stream, the AAO. But that's what we're going to be on the lookout for, drought development south. We've talked about that quite a bit. So what do we have in the near term? It's not necessarily there just yet. Let me show what I mean here. This would be the forecast for the next several days from the European. As I play this through the day on Tuesday and now getting into Wednesday, we're going to see a complex of storms late this week coming into Argentina's main growing area. And then what we're going to notice after that is just that presses into southern Brazil, and that then moves here. Look at the front spread into Paraná and over toward parts of Mato Grosso do Sul and Paraguay. And what ends up happening in this forecast is that after that kind of rolls through, normal monsoonal convection to the north here, and a low pressure system curls up just off the shore. There's even another band of showers coming through this weekend into this area. So overall, we look at that and we don't see the near-term drier conditions. And even playing deep into next week, we see normal monsoonal flow to the north. It'll be a little drier than average after those next two systems come through. But this isn't something that's necessarily taking shape immediately. It's a December threat overall on the drought development down south. Now let's stitch it all together and just show you the next 10 days. In fact, I was just looking at this before I recorded. Let me pull it back here. So going through, watch, this is now through Thursday. There, it's through Thursday, getting into Friday. So Thursday and Friday, let's just rock back and forth, Thursday into Friday. That's when we see the precipitation moving through Argentina. So this is near Cordoba, over towards Santa Fe, possibly spreading into Buenos Aires province right through here, but not very wet. It then moves into southern Brazil, filling in the hole that's been so dry here over Sao Paulo and Minas Gerais in that area. And that just fills in through the weekend. And then we play into next week, and that's what we've got. We stitch that all together, and we can look at that next week's worth of total precipitation. And this is the area that's drier. But as you saw a few moments ago, at the beginning of this presentation, our drought regions we're concerned about are pretty far to the south. So when we look at this, we can see that we're bringing in some precip here and into Argentina, which is the area we're concerned about. Now, as we press into week 2, watch what the models are doing, okay? The next 7 days, there's our drier area. There's the wetter. We just saw that, right? As we play it forward, though, we see a transition. And the models want to start December, feed in that drier air into Argentina. In fact, let's just stop it right there. The drier air comes into this part of South America, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and southern Brazil, returns normal monsoonal rains farther to the north. And I do not see at this point any major heat stresses in the area. So with that as the outlook as we press forward, I think we're going to have to watch Argentina carefully to see if this analysis verifies. If it doesn't, we could continue to see a good growing season in Argentina moving forward. I'll wrap it up there. I look forward to talking again this Friday. I'm going to take Thursday off for Thanksgiving, but we'll give you another update on Friday. Thank you.